thank you for watching. So in today's video, we're going to talk about anger and how anger can be a secondary emotion. So first I want to talk about anger and how anger is a common human emotion that we all feel, we've all experienced it, and I want to discuss how anger is different from rage. Because you easily become angry, it doesn't automatically mean that you have an anger problem. The anger problem comes after, or it becomes with the behavior that you show when you are angry. So we're going to define it as feelings of displeasure, annoyance, or hostility. Those are the feelings that you're going to feel when you're angry. And like I said, they're normal. It's okay to feel them. There's nothing wrong to feel bothered at something you don't like. When anger leads to unacceptable behavior, violence, or harm to others, that is when anger becomes a problem and where you can have serious consequences. So that when anger leads to violence or something that's unacceptable and really affects other people is when it leads to rage. Rage is the behavior to the anger. Rage is what brings you the problems. It's what brings you the consequences of having to go to anger management, maybe break up some relationships, things like that because of rage. Anger is the feelings. It's all inside. There's nothing that another person is affected by, but it's when you start yelling, you start throwing things, you start punching things, hitting people, getting into fights. Things like that are what cause you to get in trouble and really have consequences for your anger, and that's what's considered rage. Now that you know the difference between what anger is and what rage is, now we can discuss how we can avoid those consequences of breaking up a relationship, anger management, and things like that by learning to control your anger and learning how anger is a secondary emotion. By identifying your feelings more effectively, then you will be able to control your anger better and maybe find effective ways to calm yourself down and not have such a big reaction to something you disapprove of. One common misconception that a lot of people believe is that they go from 0 to 100 in a second, that they don't have any process or any steps in getting that angry where you're at 100, that people just get from 0 to 100, they see red and they just get violent, they yell at people. And the truth is that's not really what actually happens with your feelings or with your emotions and your reactions. You really have a process that you go through when you become angry, and I want to help you stop that process in an appropriate time where you won't get so many consequences or you won't get into rage or that violence. The beginning part of becoming angry is your primary emotion. So first I want to talk about what a primary emotion is and what a secondary emotion is. Anger is considered a secondary emotion. It is something that comes after a vulnerable feeling. So first you're going to have a primary emotion when you get angry. And a lot of times people aren't able to identify it because they're so focused on their anger and trying to cover up or mask that primary emotion that they don't even realize that they have that. The primary emotion is going to be something vulnerable, something that you don't want people to see, something that if people know you're feeling this, you would feel weak or you would feel maybe ashamed of that feeling. So some feelings that could be considered a primary emotion that lead to anger could be ashamed, disrespected, embarrassed, sad, or maybe hurt. Things like that are what are the primary emotion. All of these feelings, all these vulnerable feelings we can call them, lead to anger. You want to cover those up. So what anger becomes now, anger is like a mask. It masks those primary emotions that you don't want to show people. So if someone disrespected you, you don't want to show that you feel disrespected, that you feel hurt. So what you're going to do, you're going to get upset, call them a name back, and start a fight, something like that, because you don't want people to know that you felt disrespected. Or maybe you can't even identify that. You just like, I know I felt something that I didn't like, so I'm going to become angry. So you become angry. So first you want to identify the primary emotion. What is it that is feeding that anger? Once you find that primary emotion, then that you know what leads to your anger. And then from anger, then you're going to have a decision to make. Your decision is either I'm going to react to this anger or I'm going to calm myself down. A lot of people don't realize they have the primary emotion. They just become angry because they don't like what they're feeling, and they choose automatically the behavior that's going to cause them to become violent, or a behavior that's going to cause a fight. Now, you have another choice. You can always choose to calm yourself down. In calming yourself down, you have to be aware of your feelings. You have to be aware of what's going on within your mind, within yourself. In choosing to calm yourself down, you're going to be able to avoid all these consequences, avoid a fight, and really, at the end of the day, effectively take control of the situation and yourself. Some ways you can control your anger and choose not to get violent is by choosing to do relaxation techniques. And I know this video won't be about relaxation techniques. I can make another one, but it is important to talk about that. You need to know what helps you get relaxed, what helps you cope with things. Everyone is different. There is positive ways of coping with things, there's negative. Like if you start drinking when you become angry, that is not a good coping skill. So we want to talk about healthy relaxation coping skills that you can use to help you not be so angry. So you can do some breathing exercises. You can maybe take a break, which I've talked about before in one of my other videos. You can go ahead and call a friend to help you vent. You can listen to music. Things like that are what helps you take control of yourself, take control of the situation. Come back if you need to, if you have to mend the situation with another person. But if you're able to identify what helps you cope with negative situations or with anger, then you know you can use that instead of having to react to something violently. So I want to talk about how a primary feeling could be identified before I finish the video. So I'm going to give an example of something that I feel that maybe everyone has felt, or I know I have. If you live in Southern California, you know that you've gone through traffic. You may have been sitting in the 91, the 10, the 60, any of these freeways, all these freeways that are just basically a parking lot at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and you basically can't go anywhere within 45 minutes, if that. But anyways, back to the example. A lot of people have sat in traffic, so I feel like a lot of us have to struggle with road rage, right? So I want to give an example of how you can appropriately identify your primary feelings and avoid and maybe calm yourself down from becoming aggressive or showing some behavior of rage. So let's say you're driving, right? And you've been sitting in traffic for 45 minutes, an hour, and you're just tired of sitting there. So now you know that some primary feelings you may be feeling are impatient and frustration. Those are automatics that you're feeling right now. Nothing is really setting them off, but you're just feeling frustrated and impatient. Those are your primary feelings. Let's say someone cuts you off and you almost crash, but you don't. You just kind of like, oh, you know, this person cut me off. So now you feel disrespected and you feel like, what the heck, like, why are you cutting me off? And you start cussing at this person, you start hitting your steering wheel, you start yelling. Now you've allowed your impatience, disrespect, and your frustration, which are your three primary feelings that you're most likely feeling, be triggered by the event. So there's going to be an event. Then you're going to allow yourself to become angry, and then you're going to choose to become or behave aggressively. So now you haven't taken control of your anger. You start tailgating this guy, let's say, and you get stopped, you get a ticket, and now you have to go to traffic school, and now you have to pay a fine. So now the fact that you weren't able to control your anger has led for you to have this negative consequence. So let's retract and go back and see how we can really stop ourselves from tailgating this guy and getting in trouble, right? What we're going to do is first identify our primary feelings. So you know you're frustrated, you know you're feeling impatient, and you felt disrespected by this person who cut you off. So now you automatically become, or you choose to become, angry. There's nothing wrong with that. You can feel angry, but you stop yourself there and you say, you know what, I'm angry. There's no point in telling this person off. They can't hear me. If I'm hitting the steering wheel, I'm mostly hurting my own hands, or it's not getting me anywhere. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to de-escalate the situation, take control of my feelings. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to listen to something on the radio, some music that allows me to calm down. You put a good song on, it calms you down, then you're able to really assess yourself and say, is it worth me tailgating him or following him or getting in trouble or getting a ticket? It probably is not, because no matter what, you're still going to be stuck in traffic. You're still going to have to stay there and wait till you get home, and you still have to sit there with those primary feelings of frustration, impatience, and maybe even the disrespect of this person cutting you off. So if you're able to choose the coping skill, the relaxation technique, and really be aware of your primary feelings and aware of what's happening within you, of what you're choosing to do and choosing to feel, then you're going to be able to take the appropriate steps to calm yourself down and take control of this situation. So I hope this is an example of how you can see how by identifying your primary feelings and using a coping skill can really help you take control of your anger, and you can avoid some serious consequences that can affect you in the long run. So this is really what I wanted to show you, really help you identify those primary feelings and how they can feed into your anger as a secondary emotion, a mask, and help you understand anger overall, that it's not just a quick emotion. It's a process that happens. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment below, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.